Welcome to Inspired Living with Carrie Murphy, the podcast, where as your host each and every week, I am going to inspire you and empower you to share your message and step into that big vision you see for yourself. I'll be bringing you celebrity interviews, influencer insights, and my personal tips from decades as an on-camera talent, TV host, media expert, and entrepreneur, so you can build a brilliant seven-figure brand. Because when you're inspired, you inspire others. So let's go. I don't even know where to begin when it comes to my guest today. She is one of the most sought after motivational speakers in the world. She has transformed millions of lives. She has sat across people like Larry King and Oprah. She's an international best-selling author of 7 books. They're making a movie on her life story right now. And even with all of this, she is one of the most loving, down-to-earth, just incredible women on the planet. We were joking in the interview. I'm like, how do you come up with all of those Lisa-isms? You know, those quotes that you see online that you're like, who comes up with this stuff? We talk about that. We talked about how she moved through the last year with COVID in 2020 and moving out of the country, engaged, falling in love. We talked about really what it means to show up as a servant leader and what is a brand. It's not static, as she said. It is fluid. This conversation with Lisa Nichols was so juicy and yummy. She is my soul sister. She brings so much to each conversation I have with her. She's been a guest in the past, so go check out our previous Inspired Living episode. She has transformed her life from living on government assistance to being one of only 2 African American women that own publicly traded companies. She went from government assistance to multi-millionaire, but it was never about the money for her. It was always about the impact, and you will feel that in this interview today. So get ready to be inspired and quite possibly transformed with this Inspired Living interview with my friend, Lisa Nichols. All right, Lisa, I have to confess something to you. Knowing that I was going to be with you today, do you know what I've been saying all day?
What?
Ain't no party like a Lisa Nichols party. Lisa Nichols party, don't stop. Hey. I mean, that might be like circa 2015, 16.
Yeah. For years though, like for years. Yes. We said when we're starting the party, and we said at the end of the party. And then the crazy thing is we said the next day during the conference when we party that night, when no one has a voice. Yeah. Ain't no party like a Lisa Nichols party.
Ain't no party. I truly have to say it's been in my head all day, and I am excited to continue this party with you. You know, it's been a minute. We had you on Inspired Living TV. What was it, like a few years ago? I feel like everything has time warped, you know? And here we are. Right now we're both officially engaged. You are living
officially brides to be at this moment.
Officially, yes, brides to be. Now, when this airs, I'm going to be a wife and you're going to soon be a little bit closer. But
right. I'll be still dancing in the to be dance. Right.
But you've gone through a lot in this, last couple of years. I've seen your life transform. I've seen you find love. I've seen you grow your business. And I have to say, it's so funny, Lisa, because when I'm looking online and I'm digging into you a little bit and seeing what you've been up to, I feel like every amazing quote I've ever heard probably comes from Lisa Nichols. And so I'm curious, do you just sit down when you're bored and be like, what amazing thing can I come up with today? What do you do? Like, I'm really curious.
Carrie.
Lisa-isms.
Carrie, first of all, I love it because I hear so many people saying Lisa-isms. I hear that, although not at all. Matter of fact, the majority of the powerful quotes or the sticky quotes that people love, they happen while I'm talking to someone in the moment. Because the moment births the quote, the moment births the thought. A lot of them that are unique and organic really had to be pulled out based on a conversation. Now, I will tell you this. I did have to learn how to speak in sound bites.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So that, and from media,
yeah,
that sound bites is your livelihood on any major media platform. So that I learned how to do, like, can you get it said in a nutshell? And the other part to that, Carrie, is that I'm very disruptive. Like, I like disrupting someone's soul for whatever's possible for them. So I like those little,
they're good.
Like, oh,
okay, wait. I have to say one that I heard today. Convenience. People want the convenience of transformation without the inconvenience of what's required to get the transformation. I mean, can you just like drop the microphone? But I think that is so powerful and can really be the jumping off board of this conversation, because you are a catalyst of transformation. Your life is unrecognizable. And I look back, Lisa, and I don't know if you know this, but I always tell this story when it comes to my own personal transformation and breaking through my beliefs and my money story. One of the scariest things I did in the relatively beginning of Inspired Living was invest to be a sponsor at one of your events. Mm-hmm. And I remember writing that check at the time when didn't know where that money was going to come from, but I knew that like you were my person and that your tribe was my person and that I was going to get so much more out of it. But I'll tell you, that was a really big deal for me. Yeah. And I look at us now, I don't know, 10 years later, where like
I'm on your show, on your platform.
You're on my,
your life is transformed into something barely recognizable because, a lot of times people are more confident about the person they're investing in to train them than you are about what you're going to do with the training.
Isn't that the truth?
So I often tell people, listen, you can't be a bigger cheerleader for me showing up than you are for you showing up. So that's a big deal, Carrie, when you invest like that, because I've had the same shaky hands and chattering teeth investment too, me too. So I can only ask you to do what I had to get the courage to do, right?
1,000%. And I say that to my community all the time. It's like, look, I'm not asking you to do anything that I haven't done 10 times over, and I continue to do it. You were the beginning. You certainly were not the end. But I'll tell you what, you were that catalyst for me that showed me really what it meant to step outside of my comfort zone, to do something scary, I did have to believe in myself too. So I want to thank you for that. And thank you for giving me the opportunity. And I just feel like knowing you has brought so much fulfillment and joy into my life, and has really been, when I was starting Inspired Living, being a part of your events and being a part of your tribe was there's just not enough words to put to that. So
there are divine appointments. And I believe that when you say yes to yourself, and you say yes to the unknown, and then you say yes to the inconvenience of the journey.
Yes.
In order to get the transformation that you're seeking. Because most people only say yes to the transformation. They only say yes to the outcome. And then they resist the process. And
because that's not the fun part.
Absolutely. Right? It's like someone coming to me saying, would you love Serena Williams' abs and her assets? And I go, yeah.
Yes,
and
please.
The very next statement will be, so can you do 800 lunges a day? Let me see. I'm not sure. And that's what I speak of. And the statement that many people hear me say on media that relates to what you just said was, your conviction and your convenience don't live on the same block.
Yes.
Like that. Are you convicted, or do you want the convenience? Because those are not the same thing.
Yeah.
And so you have shown and demonstrated 1,000 times your conviction is true. And that's why we're here together. And I love you. And I love watching your light. And whenever I see something on social media about you or something pop in my email, I light up when I see you. You know why, Carrie? Because I know you deliver the truth that you speak about. I know you deliver the truth. And I don't look for sponsors to stand on my stage because they invest in sponsorship. Like I handpick. I've been told I'm a speaker prude on who I allow, and I'm okay with that. But really what I am is I'm an integrity gatekeeper for the students
you are
in front of me. And you are a great investor. You are no risk. Like you walk the talk. You scream the talk. You live it up. So I love you and I love what you stand for.
Oh, thank you so much. But I am a mirror of you, my friend. And we could sit here. I mean, literally,
Well,
you're
then
one
I'm
of
looking
those
good, honey.
people.
If you my
You're like,
mirror.
hello, hello. Talk about transformation. Now, I've seen you when you had already like done the outer work, but I know with outer work comes inner work. You can't have one without the other. So, Lisa, can we just, I want to catch up if we can for a minute because
Yes.
it has been a second since we've sat down together. When we were just talking offline, we were talking about when you were living in Redondo. I'm in Hermosa Beach, and you said when I was living in Redondo, I never saw Redondo. Like I was traveling all over, like we knew where two places were, and
Airport.
the airport, the coffee shop, and the grocery store.
Yeah.
And you have made an incredible living really doing your genius work, which is breathing life and possibility into people. Like that is your talent. Like, oh my gosh, it just pours, it's a divine calling for you. And it's so apparent. But with 2020, I mean, that went away. Now, I know you had already built an online platform, but I'm so curious to know, how did you handle that year? I know you couldn't see Jelani, you couldn't see his wife. Like at that point, had you moved out of the country? I'm curious. I
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
know what happened for you.
2020 was a really major mixed bag of experiences for me. There's the obvious experience of restriction, and I'm a butterfly. So do a lot of things, but please don't restrict me.
Do not clip my wings.
Please don't restrict me. I have created a life so that I can have freedom. So, so number one is I needed to have freedom. I needed to, and I didn't have it. I had just maybe 17 days prior to COVID being it started.
A thing.
I just moved to the islands.
Oh, you did?
So I wasn't in the islands 30 days living there before they were like, and how wonderful, you can't go anywhere. And so for a minute, honestly, I was kind of like, I need someone to sit me down. I don't know if anyone listening to this, if you've been there, but I needed help. I needed an intervention. I was on the road.
Someone's got to slow you down.
Listen, I keep saying I'm gonna do it, and then another great opportunity in Dubai and in Kazakhstan and in Kiev and in Swaziland. And every place was so exciting. But by the time 2019 hit, I had been on the road over 250 days for 10 years straight. I hadn't had
wait a second. You can't just drop that and keep going. You were on the road for 250 days straight.
Minimal.
For over a decade.
Yes. So it wasn't straight. I'd come home because I'd have to change.
Of course. You get some clothes.
Yeah. Some years it was 270. Some years it was 2019, it was 282. I was on the road. So, and mind you, you have to watch what you pray for, and you have to be willing to update your prayer. Because I said 25 years ago, Carrie, I want to travel the world. I want to run my mouth, and I want to autograph anything. Well, honey, I have traveled the world. I ran my mouth, and I am not going to tell you all the things people have me autographing. So I said,
God was like, and so it be.
Yes. And so it is. And so I didn't update the prayer. And so for me, when you asked me what was 2020 like for me, it was an interruption of a dream that was beginning to turn into a nightmare.
Yeah.
Because being on the road that much, it interrupted connection, and connection is my highest value. And while I would connect with some of the most amazing people on the planet in my conferences, I really didn't connect with and have intimacy in my connections. And so
there's a big difference there.
Yeah. So I said 5 years ago, I started praying for Lisa, to open up her cellular energy sphere and get ready for a long-term relationship. And then 3 years ago, I began to call that in, and I even say it out loud, not to prospective love interest, but to my intimate people in the retreats that I was working in, to go, here's what I'm working on. And so 2 years ago, I can't even tell you that I met him. I met him 10 years ago. I just didn't notice that he was.
You weren't ready yet. You weren't ready.
I wasn't ready yet. Yeah. Like, you have no idea the blessings that are all around you that are just waiting. And so last year, COVID hit, and I'm set down to get to know my partner in a way that that the 10 years prior, we weren't able to do that. We had already chosen each other 2 years ago. And now COVID confirmed for me that I was ready to marry this man. And so
it did one or the other, Lisa, right? It was either going to bring it home or it was getting out of there.
Listen, either as soon as they open this island back up and I can fly, get the first thing smoking off this island. But honey, when they opened the island, I couldn't even tell because I was living, I'm going to show y'all something. I was living the UGG life.
Oh, right? Yeah. Oh, look at those though. Those are fancy.
Listen, and I got them in every color. So I was living the UGG life. And I got a chance to redefine myself. Now, on the other side of that, it wasn't all so pretty. The social injustice that's been happening for years just got polarized. And here I was in another country. And in this country, they weren't speaking about the American problem. And that was very difficult as not only a woman, not only a Black woman, but the mother of an African-American male child and a transformational leader.
Right.
And so I had all of this emotion just absolutely spinning in me. I ultimately made this movie, a 16-minute movie with Sean Smith, who you know. And so I made this movie with this white man where we had what we call a courageous conversation. And just so you know, at the time of us recording this, I just got nominated. I just won the Best Actress Award for the lead role in this movie that I did. I'm not an actress, y'all. Y'all have to understand. I'm not an actress.
That's amazing.
And so I just got this email that said, you won the award for Best Actress in some film festival. I was like,
you know, Lisa, though, you know what you do? You feel feelings like for real.
Man.
And by the way, that's what any good actress does.
Man.
Like you feel the feelings.
Carrie.
And no matter what, you could say A, B, C, D, and
Carrie.
you bring such feeling to it.
Carrie, you don't understand something. In this short movie, it's called Let's Grow Movie. In this short movie, for the first time, I let my sister soldier soul out. And
I want to watch that.
I cried. I call it the Viola Davis cry. You know, the Viola Davis, like ugly tear cry, I
still love our Viola. Yes.
Listen, always. That's my girl.
Yeah.
So I allowed that while I was being a part of healing with him. And when I tell you the people because this movie was made for our white allies to show them how to get in the conversation.
And I think that's very needed.
Absolutely. I didn't make it for anyone who was already in the conversation. I made it for my friends like Sean, like you, who said, hold on, I care. Show me how to get in.
Oh my gosh.
So
Lisa, that's still such a powerful conversation today. Like that's never going to end.
It's never going to end. And what I did was I said, if I can trust you with my truest emotion, here's what I would show you. So anyway, that was so big for me last year and doing that and understanding how do I channel sister soldier, Black mother, change agent, advocate. How do I pull them all together and give you something useful?
Yeah.
And so that was big for that year. And then the last thing that I would say for the year was as a business owner, training and development was pivoted in such a way that, anyone who was in the event business, so many people went out of business. And thankfully, we had already taken our students online. And what I began to do is I just began to meet the needs of the people for free.
Okay, someone needs to hear that right now. You met the needs of the people for free.
For free.
Someone who charges, exactly what you're worth. I mean, come on, let's be honest. Like
thousands.
You're an investment.
Thousands. I'm an investment.
Worth every cent. Yes. But for you to show up and give for free,
for free.
Tell me the mindset behind that.
Because my job is to meet the need, and my opportunity is to build the business. But my job is to meet the need. And last year with COVID, with George Floyd, with the political climate, the need for hope screamed much louder than the need for me to work on growing the business. Give people what they are asking for, what they were looking for hope, and they were looking for it from me. I didn't need to shape a program around it. That will come. That what you want will be born out of meeting the need. If you want to grow your business, go out and serve more, but don't serve with an agenda. Serve because it's the right thing to do. Yes. And so I just opened up with 30 days of possibility. I said, you guys, every day I'm gonna get on and I'm gonna give you 15 minutes of possibilities so we get a shot in the arm of possible B12 while we're navigating this crazy stuff. And so I did that. And last year, I can't believe how the company sustained. We didn't have to let one person go. We didn't have to drop one program. And all of it happened at the latter part of the year, because the beginning of the year, and in May and June and April, May and June, all I did was go, what y'all need? What you want to talk about? How can I serve you? And then in July and August, we began to kind of corral and create things. But by then we already had an additional 100,000, 200,000 people on the campus who were looking for some place to go. They were looking for, and so by the time I said, join me at that, like whatever that, and then I made it crazy. I took a program that we would normally charge, let's say $500, and I charged $97 for it. And everyone had already known the program back there to be a $500 program. And I said, $97, I just want you to release something so you have some level of commitment. And so people were like, listen, the program is free because we already paid for what you just gave us for the last 4 months. Like, this is free. And so there was so much time in, and there was so much loyalty, and there was so much proof in the making that getting people to take action was
they were ready.
They were ready because we'd already been in a divine exchange, Carrie.
Yeah. In fact, I think I've heard you say before, someone would have been mad if you didn't give them the opportunity, right, to go further with you, which I want to talk about in a second. But I just want to reiterate the point that you made, because I think there's a lot of people in fear and scarcity and looking for monetary solutions, right? And the question is, or the answer is, meet people where they're at. Just go serve people, pour into people without an agenda, and then you will figure out the thing that they need next. Actually, if you're looking for what they need, that is like, go figure it out. Go hang out with people who need what you offer.
Serve your way to a sale.
Yeah. Serve your way to a sale.
You have to earn the right to offer.
Yes.
You got to earn the right to offer.
Yeah, so serve your way to a sale.
Serve your way. You have to earn the right to make an offer. That's how I look at it. And the way you earn your right is, have I poured into them? Have I served them just because it's the right thing to do? And then give them a dignified invitation to come and have more. Mm-hmm. It's like the that one place in the mall. I know you've seen the one place in the mall where in the food court, they're standing out with their plate with toothpicks with samples of orange chicken. and
they used to do that.
Back in the day when we can gather.
Right.
And the one thing you would remember, if you could, is that they always had the longest line. Mm-hmm. I don't know how. Now, I'm not saying their food was the best. I'm saying that people felt more comfortable taking that leap to purchase because they'd already sampled.
Mm-hmm. And there's so many examples of that.
There's so many examples of give people the opportunity to choose you powerfully without question, and do it without an expectation that they may choose you. The desire for them to choose you, but there's no expectation. There's no quid pro quo. Don't do quid. Just do it because it's the right thing to do. You got this content, you got this intellect, you got these solutions, and I have the need, I have the problem, I have the desire. Come on, let's meet in the middle, and then let me make a choice thereafter. And then your job is, how many people can I serve? How many people can I serve? How many people can I serve for free? How many people can I serve for fee? How many people can I serve? I want to touch as many. And then what happens is you become the Pied Piper. You touch tons, and then some will follow. You touch tons, and some will follow.
Yes, I love this so much. And I think people look at you, or they look at someone who seems really successful online, and that's something that you have cultivated and built by being committed to showing up. And I'm
consistently.
Yes. I mean, hello. you're talking to the girl who always says like consistent messaging over time. And that is how you've built the Lisa Nichols brand, the motivating the masses. I'm curious because when people come to me, Lisa, they're usually, they're in their 40s, maybe, they've left corporate.
Mm-hmm.
They're just so fearful of being
Yeah.
judged and putting themselves out there, even though they have such a calling on their heart to share and to serve. Have you ever, and I know you've been doing this for a long time, but have you ever struggled with what they say imposter syndrome or the fear of what are people going to say about me? Or have you always just been so convicted with your message that you didn't care?
I love it. Yes, I've had that. It's been a long time,
Yeah.
but I remember, and this will sound very different from someone else's journey, but I really struggle with the imposter syndrome with The Secret.
Mm.
For those of you who may not, if you don't know what The Secret is, it's the law of
Amazing
attraction
book.
book that got translated into 162 different languages within 6 months. And it was just ginormous. It was the book that Oprah said she had 7 people ask her, do you know about The Secret? Have you read The Secret? Have you watched The Secret? 7 people asked her in the same day. She said she was building the school in South Africa, and everyone kept asking her, have you seen The Secret? Have you seen The Secret? She said she was so tired. She was digging ditches and she was doing stuff. She said she knew only 2 things was going to happen at the end of her day. Number 1, she was going to have a glass of wine. And number 2, she was going to watch The Secret.
Yeah.
And so it was just a big deal. And I did that thing that Benjamin Franklin says is the thief of all your joy. And that is, I compared myself. And the comparison to Bob Proctor and Jack Canfield and Reverend Michael Beckwith and, all the other brilliant teachers in The Secret, the comparison is what disempowered me. And so, yes, I thought I'm an imposter only because I looked left or I looked right and I began to compare Lisa. And so number 1, I don't compare, which it's easy for me not to do now. I like people say, have you seen? I go, no. And it's not that I don't respect other people.
I don't have time to look.
And I don't choose to look.
Yeah.
Because every time I look, it's like when I ran track. I was a hurdler in high school. And when I ran in college, and when I would look at the other lane, my coach said, the moment you looked at their lane, you got out of your lane.
Oh my, okay, stop. This is so powerful because we're in a place right now, especially with everything online, where it's so easy to go down this comparison,
you will always lose.
Paralysis.
You will always lose. You will always lose because you will have a false sense of grandizing because you think I'm better than her or him. So you will have a false sense that you're like, you don't have to go any further, or you will have a sense that you're not good enough. Either way, comparison never, ever, ever, ever. You'll start comparing the stuff that don't even matter to you. Like, oh, look at her nose. I don't care about my nose. Just breathe. I don't care. Like nose is a nose. My nose has never been the reason why I was declined from a job. It was never a reason why a client chose me. And yet, comparison will do that to you. And so I was in the space with these mega stars. So when you asked, did I ever have my fear storms or imposter syndrome? Yes. The other part to that was, I felt like as people began to follow me, that I had to always appear in perfection. I had to always appear like perfection existed. So I began to get, when I was on my way to Oprah, I remember getting very afraid the night before because I thought, I got so many issues still. Oh my God, I'm gonna go on Oprah and they're gonna find out that I'm a fraud. And what I measured to that, Carrie, was I was still navigating through my son's father. My son's father was in prison. He had been in prison for 7 years at the time. And I was still dealing with and grappling with my shame around his choice, right? I was still struggling with the fact, I was still struggling with my weight. When I went on Oprah, I was 220 pounds. And I was struggling with that. So I was still looking at all of my areas of opportunity for improvement. And I was using those as reasons why I wasn't qualified. Wow. And what I realized was that it's not the achievement of perfection that makes me perfect for transformational work. It is the pursuit of progress that makes me perfect for transformation work. It took me a while to get that.
Yeah, I mean, Lisa, I don't think that you could be this catalyst for the transformation if you always showed up perfect, because people can't see themselves in you. They can't,
Yeah.
like, to
Yeah.
watch you continue to transform inspires me that I can do it. And I was watching an interview, it was an older interview, but you said, you know what, saying I'm extraordinary, what you said, like, gets you off the hook, or like if
When you
you,
think I'm extraordinary,
yes.
you're letting yourself off the hook,
And
because
I
when you
like that really hit me too, because
yeah,
how many times we put someone else on a pedestal and say, well, that's Lisa Nichols. Like, I can't be that. I can't do
right.
that. And you went from, getting government assistance with your
Yeah.
son to
Yeah.
running, like, I think it was one of two African American women publicly traded companies, creating a multi-million dollar brand. I mean, do you ever look back, Lisa, and go, what? Like, wow. Like, do you actually, so I love this talk about perfection, because a lot of things that my clients deal with is this need to be perfect, which we can say, I think, is the absolute opposite to growing a brand or successful, or to do anything on the planet, is to try to show up as something that you're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think
So
it's also celebrating the milestones. It's, yes, we talk about unrecognizable, but really, come on. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, number one, I want to make sure that when we talk about grow a brand, that's not a static experience. Growing a brand
so
means
no, it's not.
you're of so much contribution that
Yeah.
more and more people want you. Let's be clear what growing a
Oh,
brand
I
is.
love that
Growing a
definition.
brand
Thank
is
you.
you've added so much value to someone's professional, business, or personal life that they want to share you with the world.
Mm.
That's what growing a brand. It's not static. It's not a
It's
term.
not a logo,
It's not a
right?
logo. It's not you can't do it in a sneaky way where you can do it without really showing up. You can do it without really serving, or you
Yeah.
can do it without really being of value. Let me just tell you. Now, you can make thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars selling the sizzle on a steak when the steak isn't even that good to eat. However, if you want sustainable, long-term, generational growth and contribution, make sure that the steak tastes good. And if you're a vegetarian, the bell pepper or the
Right.
egg,
Whatever it is.
whatever
Yes.
it is for you, make sure that the sizzle is sizzling, but that the taste can follow the sizzle up. So I just have to say that. I have
Yeah,
to say
because
that because
especially online in this space, I think a lot of
listen,
people sell the sizzle, but the
right.
steak is gross.
Right. It's not. And you can the misnomer or the disconnect is that you can actually make a lot of money
Yeah.
selling the sizzle. You just won't make it long term.
Well, you're not going to build a brand doing that,
No,
because
you're
people
not.
are going to
You're
figure
not.
out when they take a bite, it's like, ooh,
Yeah.
right?
And brand is based on impact.
Yep.
Brand is based on outcome. Brand is based on consistency. Brand is based on contribution. Brand is based on giving value. Like brand is just, don't get twisted with the word brand.
Yep.
That word has a lot of verbs in it. It has a lot of consistent verbs in it. It's not a static word. And so I don't even remember your question, Carrie. I had to say
No,
that.
I actually, because that's so much of what we do at Inspired Living, is we help people create their
I
brand.
know you do.
And
I've been
so
watching
much
you, girl. I know what you do.
I mean, gosh, I hear this. I'm like, this is so powerful and juicy for the audience, because they think it's static. I'm going to build the house and the house is done. No. Right?
And the
Building,
people will come in groves
because I just built it and they will
and
come.
keep
But what I
coming.
was asking you about was the milestones, like looking back at where you
Yeah.
started to where you are. How often, and maybe 2020 allowed you a little space to do this too, do you look back and go, wow, like it's been quite the journey, like I've come a really long way?
Yeah.
Or are you
I
just looking at
actually,
the next thing you want to go do?
no, I look back 4 times a year.
How do
Every
you do
quarter.
that?
Every quarter, I stop and take 2 to 3 days and I look at my impact. How many people have I touched? And I track everything. So one, be a business owner. If you're going to be a change agent, make sure you understand what your change that you're making looks like, because you become a responsible business owner, which is what we do a lot of our coaching on our campus. And so funny, I'm blown away how much CEO training I provide for people, because I needed so much of it, right? Because I came
Actually, one
in.
of the things I learned from you, Lisa, was
Yeah,
build your CEO muscle. Like,
yeah,
it's one thing to do this, but it's totally different running a business than starting a business.
Listen, let me be clear. I never taught you how to do the thing that you do in the world. You're the master at that. We actually got you to come on our campus to teach our students that. I can't teach you how to do that thing you do, girl. You're the GOAT. But what I can do is to help you develop your CEO muscle so you can scale it, so you can sustain it, so you can go back and track it and talk about it and report it to the students that are on their way to you that want to know your track record. And so I look at it 4 times a year. And to answer your question, sometimes when I look at the sizzle reel, the video of me, and I'm sitting beside Oprah, across from Larry King, across from Steve Harvey, sometimes I am blown away. I just kind of go, what the heck happened? Right. And 4 times a year, I look back at our growth and I go, what made that growth happen? Like, I study things. What made the growth happen? And what were people looking for? And how did I give it to them? And how can I give it to them better? And so I study the human behavior of people. I study where their needs are. I study when I've given them enough or when they want more. I also study what I need. Where was I?
Yes.
And so I do look back. I do take notes, but I got to tell you something, Carrie, for a long time, I didn't. I would venture to say for the first 11 years in business, I really didn't. And part of it was 2-part, believe it or not. One part was I didn't know what I didn't know. And so I wanted to avoid it. I want to lean in on the muscle that's the strongest. Thank you very much. This muscle is strong. I want to focus on this muscle. I don't care. This muscle is Popeye. You remember Popeye?
Oh, I sure do.
And this muscle is olive oil. Remember olive oil muscle? And her
the
muscle
weaky little muscle, yes.
Her muscle would jingle down here. And so part of it was I didn't want to focus on the muscle that wasn't developed. Oh, the other part was, and this is where you might be if you're listening to my voice, I also wasn't comfortable yet acknowledging my gift. I wasn't comfortable enough acknowledging how good I was. Oh, yeah. Like that. I when I go back and like when you say, do I look back? When I look back and go, well, why did you listen to this? Why did you, Lisa, in March of 2007, why did you wear all brown on the Oprah Winfrey Show? Why did you? Everybody know how much I love color. Why did you have your hair dyed like a brown, same color as my skin, my hair was at the time, which is not my natural color. And I had on the same color shirt as my hair. And I had on a little darker, like, why would you go and look like one just great big brown spot? Because I didn't really want to be seen yet. I was uncomfortable with the 56 million people watching us on that show. So when I look back, Carrie, I saw this grapple with the fear of being exposed to what I didn't know, and also the grappling with the genius and the light that I was drawing to myself and through myself. Yeah. So I embrace her. I love her. I go to find her in other people because I know what she's dealing with. Yeah. And then I had to do it for this season. Like, I'm in this season now, and you don't know this, but they're writing the script right now for the Lisa Nichols life story. They're having me write the life story book so to go with the movie. They're asking me to be a life coach on a major network right now. So it feels like every season I got to ante up again for the next best version of myself. Like, I believe that the next best version of you is always being midwifed out.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's why, when we say things like it happens for you, it can seem so trite and so cliche. But when you look at your life story, my life story, anyone that's reached any level of success, there are divine appointments and things that happen along the way to prepare you for the opportunity to come. And I really feel like someone needs to hear that today. Like, whatever's happening in your life, wherever you are right now, you being here, watching us, listening to us is no accident. No, and that there's this great calling, divine appointment.
So, and can I just say this?
Yes, of course.
And so often people say, Lisa, how did you get over the fear? How did you get over the fear? And so
of being visible, or of all of it?
Of being visible, of doing it wrong, of anything, of letting your light shine. How did you get over the fear attached to standing in your light? And I always respond with, wow, How funny is it that you assume that I waited till I got over my fear before I took the leap? Isn't that a bold assumption? And it's a common assumption. And so I want to say, if the fear is hanging around, then grab a hold of it and leap with the fear. On my email, it says, hold fear in one hand and courage in the other and leap.
Chills all over, because that is how we get out of what I call that dot, right? That comfort zone is you got to hold on with both hands and
you might be holding on to two different things.
Yeah.
You may be holding on to two different things with both hands.
Yeah.
One may be fear and the other may be determination. One may be hurt and shame and the other be, a perseverance. One may be, so it doesn't all have to be light and cameras and beautiful before you leap. You just got to be more committed to leaping than you are to staying. And then let the rest unfold as you fly.
Oh, yes. Okay, Lisa, I love you so much. I need to hear all this today. You know what?
I love
it's so
you, Mama.
good.
I love you. Congratulations, wifey.
Thank you. Thank you. Right back at you. Right back at you. So I would love to know, because you've been around for a minute. You've built businesses. You've grown businesses. You've gone through a lot of transformation.
I've gone through gain and loss. You can tell them. I've had
major gain and loss. And by
loss.
the way, you were so beautiful as you were, but you radiate in this version of Lisa Nichols. And one of the things that I share so much is like, look, you don't have to be a certain size to make an impact on the planet. And why women get so stuck with I need to wait till I lose 10 pounds so I can start using video, or I can't do an event because I don't look good enough. And quite often, Lisa, I will use you as an example of someone who was beautiful in every way and made major global impact at the 220 or whatever you were.
224.
And even though you're nowhere near that now.
6 bestsellers.
6 bestsellers.
Don't wait.
So I'm saying, hold on to the fear. And this is where you don't have to be perfect, but I'm curious.
Yeah.
What was the catalyst for you to make that change in your own personal life? Yeah. And then to share it and be so vulnerable about it?
So I wanted to save my own life. I was 224 pounds. I had severe sleep apnea. I carried my weight well because I had broad shoulders, smaller waist, shapely thighs, because I was an athlete for nearly 20 years. So even though I carried the weight well, I was still the weight. Mm-hmm. And I no longer wanted to use my outwardly success as a Band-Aid for my health. Mm-hmm. I wanted to see my son's children be born. Yeah. I wanted to give myself the best chance at longevity. I wanted to disrupt the Black woman over 40 plight with health and weight. I wanted to be a model for her. Mm-hmm. There were so many reasons that were personal. It wasn't even about my brand. Listen, I'd already had 7
You
bestsellers.
had an incredible
I'd already been
brand.
on Oprah. I'd already been on Larry King. I was like, no, it wasn't about that. I wanted to touch my next best version for me. Mm-hmm. And this was my health was my kryptonite. It was my kryptonite, Carrie. It was that place I couldn't make progress. And let me tell you why. I had some health challenges that required medical help. And I was too stubborn to want to get any medical help. I didn't want to surrender to the fact that I could not do it on my own by myself, because I equated not being able to do it with weakness. Yeah. When that was not the truth, but that's what my ego told me. If you're listening to my voice, I want to challenge you. What is your ego talking you into, or what is your ego talking you out of?
Yes.
My ego talked me into being over 200 pounds for 19 years. My ego talked me out of raising my hand and saying, I've done everything I could do. Where can you help me? My ego talked me out of that. And so, my journey was very personal. I wanted to not be a statistic of a morbidly obese woman in her 40s who ended up having a heart attack and we don't quite know what happened. Well, what happened was I worked my heart so much, being on stage, being in the air, being on a plane,
energy,
being over 200 pounds, being a single mom. Like I was stacking the deck against me, and you got to watch out when your deck looks beautiful. My deck was first class. My deck flew first class. My deck had a driver. My deck had an escort when I landed someplace. My deck, like, listen,
it was sparkly. It was shiny.
Was sparkly. Yeah. My ish has Swarovski crystals on it. So watch out. It doesn't make it any less challenging or detrimental. And so I needed to do it for me. I needed to, and then let me just say this in full transparency, Carrie, you said, and then to share it with everyone. What did it feel like to share? Why did I share with everyone? I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't ready to share it with everyone. I had no choice because it was, I lost 93 pounds in front of everyone's eyes.
Right.
So I actually, for 15 months, Carrie, I was quiet about my health because I wasn't ready to share that journey. And I needed to own my privacy, to get the courage to tell my story the way I wanted to tell it and when I wanted to tell it. So I say to you, my friend, if you're watching me, your life is your life's journey. And even if you are a public brand, having a public conversation, providing healing and direction to many, you still have a right to your privacy.
Yes, you do.
And so for 15 months, I held it. And then I said, now I'm ready. And I talked about it, because in that journey, I had to talk about having 6 blood transfusions in 3 years. I had to talk about, having emergency hysterectomies. I really was in this health. I had to talk. I couldn't just tell the story I lost weight. I had to tell the story of why I was holding on to the weight. Like I had to tell the whole story. And so I'm also committed to not filter my story. If I choose to tell you a story, trust and believe you're going to get the unfiltered version of that story. And so I have a right to decide when I want to tell it, because I'm not telling the filter version. I'm going to tell the unfiltered, because you didn't come for the filter
to get
version.
The filter. No, we don't want the Lisa Nichols filter. And I appreciate that, because I hear so much, well, I have such a story to tell, but I don't know if I'm ready. Like we hear, of course, the mess is in the message, or the mess is the message, but you have to be through the mess when it's right for you to be able to share the message from a perspective of confidence or clarity or conviction or whatever that means. And I think giving people that insight, Lisa, and almost just the permission of like, look, you are the gatekeeper of your own stories. And when you choose to share them, you get to, and it's when you choose to, because sometimes I feel like people feel this need, like I have to share.
A demand.
And it's not time.
A demand. Yeah.
Time.
No. And then the other part to that is share your truth, because most people don't share their truth. And when they're nervous, like you just referenced, Carrie, it's because they're afraid of other people's judgment.
All the time.
And I'll share with you what my grandma shared with me. She said, baby, other people's perception of you ain't none of your business.
That's right.
That right there. Your job is to do your truth. Your job is to share your truth. Your job is to be a physical demonstration of your truth, and then allow people to digest it any way they need, in small, bite-sized, palatable pieces, or one big gulp. That ain't none of your business. Your job is to do you, baby. That's what my grandmother would say. And my grandmother got good advice.
Your grandmother sounds like a lady I would love a whole lot.
Amen.
Your job is to do you.
Master you. To master you. You are an unrepeatable miracle. No one else can do you. And if you don't do you, who else will do you?
What a waste.
You'll never be done. If you don't do you, you'll never be done. Your light will never be seen by the world. It's your job to share your light. And if someone can't handle your light in that particular moment, they'll grab some shades, or they'll turn
they'll grab some shades.
Grab some shades.
Oh, love you so much. All right, Lisa, I always wrap up every interview with, what does inspired living mean to you?
It means protecting your future memories of yourself.
Ooh, tell me more.
It means that you are now making the future memories that you'll look back on one day. And there'll be a time, God willing, when you're 95 or 105, when pretty much your days are spent looking back at the life you led. And inspired living means today protecting those future memories that one day you'll look back and have of yourself. That's what it means to me. Inspired living means any story that I know I'm going to want to tell, When I'm 95, let me live it today. The way I loved, the way I forgave, the way I danced until my knees hurt, the way I laughed until my belly ached, the way I ate scrumptious, delicious food that I couldn't pronounce, the way I traveled the world and was a global citizen. If I want to tell those stories about my life when I'm 95 or 105, then right now I have to live it. That's inspired living.
Yes, I'm speechless. That I'm with you, Lisa. That is so beautiful. Listen, you have so many amazing people who love you, and you have people that are just learning about you. How can we get on campus with Lisa Nichols? What are you doing right now? How can people connect with you?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm doing this really cool thing that I'm just so excited about. It's really a life up level masterclass. And it's just a touch. It's a masterclass about an hour long. And so you can go and join us. It's free. And it's new and it's fresh and it's just this delicious culmination.
Super yummy.
Yes, super yummy, super juicy and delicious. And it's riddled with new experiences that I've had. And it's just good. And it's designed primarily for game changers. So I designed it for those of us who wear the cape all the time. Mm-hmm. So it's not for the people who pull on the cape. It's for those of us who wear the cape. So if you'd love to join us, I'd love to have you. It's motivatingthemasses.com and it's quantum-leap masterclass. So we'll put it in.
Yeah, we'll definitely put it in the notes and we'll put it.
Motivating the Masses, Quantum Leap Masterclass. And it's just about elevating to our next best version of ourselves. If you're already playing big in the world, how do you touch your next best? So
that sounds yummy and delicious. And I mean, gosh, getting more Lisa Nichols is, it's a beautiful thing. And by the way, thank you for your time. I know it is one of the most precious things that we all have. And I appreciate you sharing it with me and this community. I love you. I love the light that you bring to the planet and the impact that you've had on my life personally. So thank you. I can't wait to play more and hopefully I get to see you soon.
Yeah. Let's find excuses to play together and call it work. And Carrie, I want to take a moment and celebrate and thank you for how you choose to show up. I want to thank you for your years of consistency. I've watched you navigate when everything was light and bright. And I've watched you navigate when you had to climb through your own challenges to get back to your light. And on behalf of every man and every woman who gets to own their power because they cross your path, thank you for what you've had to do that no one ever sees. I love you. I love what you stand for. You are an easy yes for me. And I'm always your sister. I might not be easy to get a hold of, but you always got access to me. I love you, sis.
I love you, Lisa. Thank you for that. I received that and I appreciate that. All right. Thank you for a beautiful Inspired Living interview. Again, go connect with Lisa, take her masterclass, follow her on Instagram. You will be inspired, enlightened, motivated, transformed. And Lisa, Miss Bride-to-be, I look forward to celebrating that new milestone.
Yes. We'll take notes on how to be lifetimers for our husband.
All right, let's do it. Sounds good. All right, beautiful. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. You've just heard another uplifting episode of Inspired Living with Carrie Murphy, the podcast. I hope you loved it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. And if you'd like to know more about Inspired Living or to get your hands on many of our awesome free resources, such as the Be Studio Ready Guide, simply visit us at inspiredliving.tv/podcast. Remember, your vision is your destiny, and we're here to help you bring it to life. Join me again next week for another extraordinary episode.